All right. Now let's talk about something that's been going on under the radar for a while. Fat Joe's recent comments have pretty much exposed what a lot of us have already suspected, and Tariq Nasheed has dropped the receipts. And now we can see exactly what it is.
Family, I'm telling you, when they start talking about foundational Black Americans and he has this smoke for foundational Black Americans, he's talking about all of us. He ain't talking about no group. There is no group, an organization called Foundational Black Americans. It's only a lineage. That's the only thing you can be talking about. And some of Joe's own people has said that he's said a whole bunch of anti-Black stuff before, by the way. Some of his own people has said this. Cuban Link, let me play this clip. They said that Joe was on some stuff where, yeah, it's time for us Puerto Ricans to get it popping. Us Latinos need to get it popping. The Morenos, yeah, they didn't have their time. It's time for us to get it popping. So just a lot of little slick stuff. Let me play some of the stuff where his people have said he said slick stuff.
Fat Joe has been thoroughly exposed for making some bigoted comments about Black folks behind closed doors. But what is even more problematic about the situation is that it isn't an isolated incident. And Busta Rhymes has also been recycling a similar playbook. In recent years, there's been a concerted effort to undermine FBAs with the original origin narrative in hip hop and discredit us altogether. Now, I've been having my suspicions about Fat Joe, the way that he's profited off of the culture for decades while distancing himself from the people when it serves his narrative.
But listen to this. This is Cuban Link. Listen to this. And the audio is kind of sped up a little bit. That's why it might sound a little different.
Plenty of times. I just forgot his name of who you were talking about, but you have brought him up before, you know? Now, you know, the clip in our interview, he said that there was a time where you guys were all in the studio and Joe started to make certain comments about, you know, the Morenos have had their time. Now it's our time. And he felt like it was like an underlining racist tone to it, even though I asked him, I was like, could it have just been pro-Spanish? Like, isn't this, you know what I mean? Like, that's possible without you being racist. Yeah. But man, wrote a clip.
Like you said at the start of this, like a lot of people thought that I was Spanish. So, you know, he would be on the movement of, you know, us Latinos got to make it. We got to do this. We got to do that. And I'm listening like, wow. Because this at the time, you know, it was a lot of brothers doing the music, and he was coming in throughout, you know, digging in the crates and all these other brothers that was putting him on. So I guess he felt like, now it's time for us to like take over. So I would listen to that and I would take heed to like, okay, it's
so yeah, Joe thought this dude was Black and he was saying all this little slick anti-Black stuff around him.
Kind of like a little racist, but you know, it is what it is. It ain't nothing bad, but it's just like, I guess he was so pro-Latino that he was really pumping that rhetoric at that time. You know, he was trying to take it to another level.
Well, okay.
Pun was the first one.
Let me play devil's advocate. Okay, so was it racist or was it just that like he was really proud and trying to put on the other side of it because there wasn't really any prominent, you know what I mean, that within the culture?
Well, I ain't going to downplay. I'm going to tell you straight up. He was on some like, the Moyos been doing this for years. It's time for us to come in. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically how it was stated. And that's how I heard it. And I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. It's pro. But at the same time, it was a little bit of shade there. You know, a little bit.
But he got put on by Black artists, though.
It's what I was thinking the whole time I'm hearing that. But I'm saying to myself, who am I? I'm just...
Right. Fat Joe got put on. Black artists put him on. And it's always like that. We put people on and then they still have this weird disdain.
Here just listening. I'm just taking in what he's saying. I'm taking in because I'm in a room full of Black Latin brothers that are all in the music industry. You got to understand that, too. I'm the only person there personally at the time that looked like I was. So I got in where I fit in, but here we go. That's the rhetoric that was pumped because he felt comfortable.
So they thought this brother was Latino, so they started kind of getting comfortable and speaking that anti-Black talk around him because they thought he was Latino too.
He was in his own world at the time too. Like, you know, you're in a closed environment. You got your people that look up to you. And you got
so
some
you
people...
can say what you really feel.
Exactly.
That's the halftime speech, basically.
Yeah. I'm taking it. But like I said, I heard him and Macho say stories where now it's demeaning and being real racist to Black people. Him and
wait,
Macho.
Wait. What you mean?
The two white guys at the crew was him and Macho.
Okay, but I know. But what is the story though?
Macho was a fucking, you know, he hung out with the Jewish guys, so he was really demeaning when it came to Black people. And Joe would join that conversation, you know.
So he's saying that they were talking greasy about Black people, and Joe was in them conversations where they're talking greasy about Black people.
But what is the story, though? Can you share the story?
I'm not telling you the story. I'll let them tell the story. They're never going to say it. But it was real demeaning, racial shit. But that's within, you know what I'm saying, the camp of the Spanish guys. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I think everybody does it. Black people do it. White people do it when they're amongst their own. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I don't want to even say they are, they aren't. But I know my beliefs. I know Punch believe. I know like Sace's belief. When we came in, it's full of clips. I know the sick ones believe. We came in as we all is together. Now, if it was a minority of them niggas being racist in the back of their mind and saying racist shit, yes, Joe and Macho. The terrorist guy used to say a lot of shit.
Boom.
We've been seeing the comments, we've heard his undertones, and now we got some pretty solid proof because Tariq Nasheed did some research and found us receipts that show just how deep this disrespectful, undermining mentality goes. And let me make this abundantly clear. It's not just Fat Joe. Lately, Busta Rhymes has been moving in a similar direction.
The most significant and neglected component about the history and the research of hip-hop is its origin. Wow. We got to start changing that narrative. Yep. We can't just keep saying Kool Herc gave birth to it. Right. Jamaica gave birth to it by way of Kool Herc. Through the Bronx. Through the Bronx.
Both of these artists who have been heavily involved in hip-hop for decades seem to have been subtly pushing an agenda in order to discredit FBA's role as the sole creators of hip-hop. It's hard to ignore the fact that there seems to be an underlying vitriol, even an envy towards FBA's, which is not at all deserved. So let's talk about the bigger picture. Fat Joe and Busta Rhymes have been closely aligned with certain political and social narratives recently.
If we're gonna vote for Kamala Harris tomorrow, let me hear you make some noise. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Fat Joe and I'm here for Kamala Harris, the next president of the United States of America.
Fat Joe in particular has been heavily used by certain political figures to push an agenda that does not benefit the FBA community. If you look at the way that they've been aligning with the hip-hop was created by basically the Black and Brown coalition narrative while simultaneously talking down on Black folks behind closed doors, it becomes clear. This isn't just about hip-hop. This is about the marginalization of grassroots voices.
So again, his own people saying that Joe has been saying racist stuff about Black people. I'm not shocked. That whole, we created hip-hop, Black and Latinos 50-50, that was a hostile statement to make based in anti-Black racism. Because number one, it was a lie. Number two, it's a colonizer mindset. We're not accepting lies. Number one, there was no Puerto Rican and Black creating hip-hop 50-50. That's a lie. The Puerto Ricans were not there in the beginning helping to create hip-hop. That's a lie. There were no Puerto Ricans rapping in the early 70s or before. If they say they were, that's a lie. They were not DJing then. That's a lie. They were not b-boying then. They came later. All of that is a lie to say they were. And then when you point out that they weren't there in the very beginning and you can show the pioneers who were there, they started to lie on some of the early pioneers by saying that they were Puerto Rican. Like the first b-boys, Sasa and Trixie. They used to run around here lying that Sasa and Trixie were Puerto Rican. Both of those men are in microphone check. They said, no, we are not no Puerto Rican. We're from South Carolina. We're from the Carolinas. Not only are we not Puerto Rican, when we were dancing, wasn't no Puerto Ricans around. They said this in microphone check. Then they tried to lie. Crazy Legs went on Drink Champs and told that lie that Disco King Mario, who's a very, very unsung pioneer of hip hop, he lied and said he was Puerto Rican. We had Mario's family in microphone check. We ain't Puerto Rican. Nobody in our family is Puerto Rican. We all Black people from North Carolina. We had to clear up lies. We're not going to let people just go out here lying their asses off just for the hell of it. And Fat Joe was talking about, FBAs are racist. Yeah, these are some Black radical racists and all of this stuff because we ain't letting people lie. No, we're not racist because we're checking people and their lies. You're not going to lie indefinitely. Yeah, because Trixie was light-skinned, they tried to make him Puerto Rican. No, that man said, I am not no Puerto Rican. And wasn't no Puerto Ricans dancing with us when we started. Yeah? You can't argue with them.
So where does this leave us now? Well, it's clear that there's a concerted effort happening right now to discredit and downplay FBA's rightful place in hip hop. It's a pattern. It's not just about these individual artists. It's about something much bigger. Foundational Black Americans undeniably created hip hop. That's a fact. And no amount of narrative shifting can change the actual history. We built the culture, and it's time for us to take our rightful place in the history of hip hop. And we have to be vigilant because there's a lot of envy and vitriol being directed our way. And it's time to expose it for what it is. So look, Fat Joe and Busta Rhymes are just the tip of the iceberg. These are the ones who have been bold enough to show their true colors. But there's a bigger agenda at play. They've been riding on the backs of FBA culture for years. But when the lights go off, it's clear they don't respect us in the way that they should. I mean, at this point, the receipts are in. And it's time to wake up. Don't let these artists and these agendas distract from the truth of who really built this culture. Foundational Black Americans, we created hip hop. Drop your thoughts below and let me know how you feel about this situation. Sonny Bravo, Action Over Talk, and I'm gonna holler at y'all next time. 100.